Above everything else, Spider-Man managed to make me remember what it's like to be a teenager. Like as you get older, you forget because it's a really slow loss of all that emotion, but just seeing the way Tom Holland does it just brought it all back. Spider-Man Homecoming, directed by John Watts, starring Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr., and Michael Keaton. All right, so first things first, this may be the most Marvel movie Marvel has ever made. Like, this subject matter was designed for Marvel, and it's almost insulting that they weren't allowed to use them early enough. If they could have kicked off the MCU with Spider-Man in 2008, the world would be so much different. ISIS probably wouldn't be around. This is just one of the only movies where that tone of emotion, humor, like almost like formulaically, it fits this better than it fits almost anything else. Like if Doctor Strange had actually been more of a horror movie, like I was led to believe by Scott Derrickson existing, it probably would have been a little bit better. But this is exactly how it was supposed to be. This is easily the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen in my life, and I am so jealous of my niece for being able to grow up with a Spider-Man that she can actually relate to. Although she says that her favorite is Carnage, so she may actually enjoy the Venom movie next year a little bit more, even though she's 3 and won't get to see it until she's 12, 15, something like that. I don't know. I don't know what age you should show kids R-rated movies. I'm not a parent. So, as I said in the intro, Tom Holland was spectacular. I don't even care about Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. Like people may hold those movies dear to their heart. I don't. This is literally the first Spider-Man movie I've ever cared to go see. I saw the first one at the drive-in when I was 11, and I didn't care. My sister got really into Spider-Man after that, so she kind of pushed me along. Like, she's the reason why I don't like DC, because when I was 15, she told me not to, and I just kind of stuck with it, and it just got easier as I got older. Because I don't have time to know all the intricacies of all these different comic book universes. I picked one, and I decided to focus on that. I've always had kind of a specialization problem where I've tried to know a little bit about everything, but not a whole lot about anything. But in this situation, I find that it's a lot easier just to dive head on into one major comic book universe and then just let the other one do the movies and not get too bogged down by it. So that said, Spider-Man also managed to make the best movie villain Marvel's managed to do. Kingpin was great. Kilgrave is my favorite. Cottonmouth, like these, they had some good villains. The Meachums, they were pretty good. But those are all on Netflix. I mean, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has had some pretty decent villains pop up here and there, but nothing in the movies has been anywhere close to being this good. I really understood the Vulture's point of view to the point where he almost convinced me that Iron Man wasn't a good guy. You know the part where he says that he's like, you know how Tony Stark made all his money off of selling weapons to bad guys, and I was like, oh my god, he's right. He's basically, but then it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, but Tony at least made those himself and went through the proper channels to sell them and to buy the parts and everything. And then he had his whole change of heart in Iron Man 1. But for a second, Michael Keaton had me sold. And Michael Keaton was fantastic. Like, I saw The Founder a few months ago, and that was a criminally underrated movie. Like, it really should have got some Oscar mentions. But Vulture, he's doing that same thing where he's just got like this weird psychosis to him. Like, I always thought Hugh Jackman was good at being like a normal guy who just goes nuts, but Michael Keaton's been doing it since the 80s. If you think about back to the original Batman, he's got that madness, this unhinged level inside of him that he doesn't let out very often. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't in the movie as much as I thought he would be. I'm very glad for that. The trailers did spoil all the way up to the third act. Like, they did not give a shit about what they were telling you. There's one twist that managed to not get spoiled, and it kind of half got spoiled before I even saw the movie, but it turns out that it was an incorrect spoiling. They managed to keep Adrian Toomes being Liz Allen's dad secret, but I was specifically told that he was Zendaya's dad. before I saw the movie, but that was wrong, and it was actually kind of surprising to me. So that's like the only real surprise I had out of the movie. Zendaya, I don't watch Disney Channel anymore, not since I was 14. So I don't know who that is. And I've been hearing her name for like a year solid now, and she was pretty good. I mean, she's cute in like a bird sort of way. And if you've seen my video about the Vetro romance in Mass Effect, I don't mind chicks that look like birds, except Jessica Chastain. I got kind of a problem with her. She's kind of more of the quick run across the parking lot because Jessica Chastain's going to swoop down on you kind of bird, a scary one. Zendaya's a cute one. Liz Allen's character, I didn't really like. She kind of filled every possible niche that you could have for a high school girl. She was pretty popular, smart, and like just cool with everybody. And like I feel like they could have given her some flaws. I don't know, some reason to think that she's realistic. Flash, I didn't like. I didn't like Flash. I love Tony Revolori. He did an okay job, but I didn't like Flash at all. I found him very unnecessary. Most of the high school shit I was pretty uncomfortable with. Although they managed to keep the high school shit to a minimum. I had to go through some flashbacks of my own high school times, but for the most part, they managed to cut it off with something more important, more interesting to watch. Although he had literally the same exact confession I did in 11th grade, where you tell the girl you love her and she just said, I know, like Han Solo. So that brought back some darkness. Donald Glover was in it for a second. He had like 2 scenes and he was funny as hell. I mean, he had maybe one line that I can remember that was funny, but like I just love Donald Glover and I was so excited to see him in here. And he's Aaron Davis. He's the Prowler. In the few comics of Spider-Man I read, he was hanging out with Spider-Man. I know he's a villain and everything for a little while or whatever, but I when I was reading him, he was more of a good guy. So I am very excited for Homecoming 2 to flesh out Aaron Davis a bit more and maybe show off Miles Morales. I mean, I was actually really hoping that Abraham Atta would have been Miles Morales. I kind of think he was wasted because he's literally one of the best child actors I've ever seen. Beast of No Nation was just jaw-dropping. I'm going to use the word sensational. I've been waiting to say sensational. Sensational. Ugh. I wanted to call Okja sensational when I saw it last week, but I couldn't bring myself to that point. But Beast of No Nation was sensational. And I guess to round off the acting category of this movie, Marissa Tomei's getting old. Like, she wasn't that old in Civil War. I mean, it's just one of those things that makes me feel old because when I was a kid, she was super hot. I mean, my cousin Vinny. Okay, so let me just go over the negatives. He had no spider sense, which is really important to me because if he doesn't shoot webs out of his wrists like I had been led to believe until I was 20, then spider sense is really all he's got left that makes him a spider. Sticking to walls, I mean, geckos do that. Super strength ants do that. But as a spider sense, there was no representation of it. There was at many points where I thought he'll be fine. The spider sense will just let him know when something's going to happen, and nothing happened. It's a major overlook. I mean, plus all the Iron Man shit in his head when he put on the mask and Jennifer Connelly started talking to him as Karen. It got really Iron Man-y. Like, he doesn't do anything on his own. I mean, luckily they put him back in his regular outfit so that showed off, but he had too many tech powers, not enough, like, spider powers. He basically just had the super strength and climbing the walls, and climbing the walls can be done with a suit, so I don't know. It didn't seem like it was entirely necessary for Peter Parker to be in that suit. I mean, someone else could have been doing it. Tony could have just given it sticky powers. But overall, definitely the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. I look forward to seeing Tom Holland blow my mind for the next 20 years.